Ant-Man and the Wasp is the sequel to Ant-Man and the first Marvel movie to follow Avengers Infinity War. I really enjoyed the first Ant-Man. I really appreciated its smaller scale. I absolutely loved Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. And the way Ant-Man ended, we kind of knew it was setting up for a sequel, and now here we are. What Ant-Man and the Wasp does right out the gate is it kind of touches on what briefly happened at the end of Ant-Man. Scott Lang went into the quantum realm in order to defeat the Yellow Jacket. He, however, was able to return, which Hank Pym thought was impossible because his wife did the same thing and she never came back. It's right here, Hank Pym, he tells his daughter Hope, "Hey, Scott was able to come back from the quantum realm. We thought that was impossible, but he did it. So maybe there's a chance that A, my wife, your mother, is still alive, and 2, maybe there's a way we can bring her back." The movie shows that the two of them have been working on building this kind of tunnel that can get them into the quantum realm. Unfortunately for Scott though, he's not on very good terms with either Hank Pym or Hope right now, because he stole the Ant-Man suit to go fight Civil War with Captain America. Then he got arrested, and now he's been placed under house arrest for 2 years. But the two of them do know they need Scott's help. They're gonna get Janet Van Dyne potentially out of the quantum realm, so Hope goes and kidnaps Scott, gets him out of his house, brings him to the lab, because they discover that because Scott was in the quantum realm, it's given them this quantum entanglement with Janet that's allowed her to use Scott to communicate with the people in reality. Now let me get into the positives of this movie. Once again, Paul Rudd, he kills it as Ant-Man. He just brings such a charm to him. You root for his character, you really like his character. He's funny, he's a badass, he's still a bit naive towards all this smarter stuff that Hank Pym creates. And again, you love seeing that his main focus is to build a good relationship with his daughter Cassie. And that's why I like seeing that he's kind of hesitant and wanting to help Hank and Hope. He's like, look, I want to help you guys, but if I violate this, I'm gonna go to prison for 20 years. I'm almost done with my house arrest. Once that's done, I can really focus on being a father. I don't want to break that. I love seeing that he does have that love for his daughter. It's just sweet to see. I'll say, one of the areas of Scott Lang's story that I wasn't a big fan of was the FBI agent that's been assigned to monitor him. The guy's honestly just an annoying douche. He really doesn't give a shit for Scott. He wants him to fail. He wants to arrest him. Literally, anytime there's even a chance that Scott may have broken his house arrest protocol, he and the rest of the FBI just show up and they have to investigate everything. It's like, I get you have a job to do, but you have to be such a dick about it. And it's around right here, Hank and Hope have shown Scott what exactly it is they're building, and it is indeed a tunnel to the quantum realm. It's right here though, Hope tells Scott, in order for us to complete it, I have to go buy a part from this black market dealer who's played by Walton Goggins. And when she goes to do business with him, turns out Walton Goggins just wants to essentially use Hank and Hope's business as a profit to make himself rich. They of course don't want to do that, so you know the deal's off there, and now creates this whole little side plot of Walton Goggins trying to basically get their lab so he can use it for his business. That's what I gotta say about Walton Goggins right there. It's not that I didn't like his character, it's not that I didn't like his portrayal, I just felt his character was honestly pretty useless. I mean, when you really think about it, Walton Goggins is just in this movie to cause the heroes another problem that they have to deal with. I mean, Walton Goggins is a villain in this movie, but he's not like the villain. I tell you right now, if he was taken out of this movie entirely, the movie would really be no different. And that right there disappointed me a little bit. I do love Walton Goggins, I think he's a great actor. I just wish they maybe found a different use for him. Anyways, when that deal goes bust, Hope comes back in a Wasp suit armed with wings and blasters as she just takes out Walton Goggins' group. Now, this was an area that I was excited to see. I wanted to see Evangeline Lilly really shine as Hope becoming the Wasp. It really does. She's a really badass fighter. She knows how to get shit done. I see a bit of a difference between her and Ant-Man. You know, when she's fighting, she's very confident in what she's doing. She knows exactly what she has to do. Where on the other hand, you have Ant-Man, who's sometimes a little unsure. Usually he's winning it, is what I feel like is happening. I really did like the Wasp suit too. That thing was pretty awesome. And that's the other thing I want to get into. This being Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's very important that Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly have very good chemistry in this movie. And for the most part, they do. I really like seeing them work together. I like seeing how, I guess they have a little bit of a tension between each other because of what happened in Civil War with Scott. What did kind of irk me a little bit is they didn't really touch on the romance between between Scott and Hope in this movie that much. I mean, we caught hints at the end of Ant-Man that a romance was maybe building between them, and here I thought they would explore more on it. I thought it would be maybe kind of a big deal in this movie. They address it a couple times in this movie, but not as much as you'd expect it to. But then it's after Hope does away with Walton Goggins' group, she gets attacked by someone else known as Ghost. She's this person who's like dressed in this white armored suit, who has the ability to phase through matter, so it's really tough to fight her. At one moment, Ant-Man or Wasp may be able to land a hit against her, but at another point, she's just phasing away and you can't hit her. But getting into Ghost, what I really liked seeing with her character is her backstory, because it turns out that her father, when she was a little girl, was trying to build a tunnel to the quantum realm so he could explore that. But unfortunately, it went horribly wrong. Her father died, her mother died, and because she was caught in the blast, it caused her cells to be torn apart and then stitched back together, which is the reason why her body's always phasing. And because her father did work with Hank Pym, she's now got a vendetta against him because of what happened to her. She's been working with Bill Foster, played by Lawrence Fishburne. He's also a former partner of Hank Pym. He's got some history with him, so they don't really like each other. That was one of the areas I did appreciate with Ghost. I liked seeing that she was a damaged character, that she's doing what she's doing because she just wants to cure herself. Problems I had with Ghost, though, were this. Number one, I don't feel she's the strongest villain we've had in the MCU. I feel like with the last few movies we've gotten, Marvel had really gotten on a hot streak with its villains. Ghost, in my opinion, kind of goes back to that weak villain side that we're kind of used to seeing with these Marvel movies. And the one thing I didn't really like about her backstory was seeing what went on with her after she got her powers, if you want to call them that. Because here she was taken by S.H.I.E.L.D., they were using her as a soldier to do their bidding and everything like that, and you know, she was told, or she was promised anyway by S.H.I.E.L.D., that hey, if you do this, if you kill these people, if you do these missions, we'll cure you. And S.H.I.E.L.D. never did. I will say right there, it had me thinking, alright, this kind of sounds like when Hydra infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D., it sounds like something they would have her do, you know, kill people, we'll make you false promises. And that right there isn't what I had a problem with. What I had a problem with is this does make me wondering, why didn't Hydra, you know, disguised as S.H.I.E.L.D., ever use her for any of the missions? I mean, I imagine they had her at their disposal during the events in Captain America the Winter Soldier. Granted, I know they sent Bucky to potentially deal with Cap, but why not send the one who can phase out of matter and is really difficult to defeat? It kind of creates a little bit of a plot hole in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Granted, with all the movies that end up being made, some plot holes are going to be found in there somewhere, but this was one that I really couldn't ignore. After that confrontation with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ghost is able to get the lab, she and Bill Foster are able to kidnap the heroes, and here's where they explain what they really want to do. They want to use the quantum tunnel that the group is developing as a way for them to get Janet back, but to take the quantum energy from her to, you know, fix herself, to fix Ghost. The heroes, Hank in particular, do not want to go through with this because them taking that quantum energy from Janet, it might kill her. After they escape with the lab, the heroes do a little more work with the quantum tunnel, and it's here they discover they need to find a way to get Janet to use Scott to communicate with them again. They're able to do that, and then comes a really funny moment. You see Scotland, you know, doing research on the computer, because, you know, it's Janet controlling him to communicate with Hope and Hank. It's just really funny seeing how that happens, particularly the way Scott interacts with Hank. It's just, you can't help but feel it's a little awkward. Especially, you know, after Janet's done possessing Scott, and, you know, Scott looks at him holding Hank's hand, and just, you know, it's a little weird. The group here was able to learn that Janet's going to be at a specific location in the quantum realm. The group has 2 hours to get there, otherwise she's basically going to be gone, not necessarily forever, but for the rest of this world's lifetime. For the hero's lifetime, anyway. That makes more sense. Unfortunately, Walton Goggins, because, you know, he's still part of this movie, he's able to infiltrate the group. He's then able to take the lab for himself because he infiltrated Michael Pena and his buddies, you know, Scott Lang's old friends. He found those 3, gave them some truth serum, and it resulted in Michael Pena doing one of those long, you know, narrative stories that he was doing a lot in the first Ant-Man. Michael Pena is one funny fucker. I gotta say that right now. This dude had me cracking up. Really, all 3 of them really had me cracking up. I know some people out there kind of find them annoying, kind of find them useless. I think they're awesome. I think they're hilarious. I love that group. Unfortunately, Hank and Hope get arrested. They're eventually freed by Scott, but at this point, Ghost has retaken the lab once again. And knowing they are really running out of time now, Hank decides, alright, here's what has to happen. I'm gonna go into the tunnel to get to the quantum realm to save Janet. You two have to get that lab back, though, Otherwise, we are going to have no way of coming back to reality. Now we get this big chase battle between Ant-Man and the Wasp against Ghost and Walton Goggins' crew, because they're still in this movie. I do appreciate this final conflict. It's fun, it's enjoyable. It's nice to see Ant-Man become really giant again like he did in Civil War. I will say, one of the issues I had with Ant-Man's suit was the fact in this one, it was malfunctioning a lot. Instead of him going from really big to really small, it would either have him be kind of big or kind of small. I know they were doing it for laughs, they were doing it for comedy, but for me, it didn't really make me laugh. I'm just kind of sitting there like, in Civil War, the suit he used was fine. Why not use that suit? Why do they need this malfunctioning suit? Can't help but feel it's just another problem the movie's gonna throw in for the heroes. Back in the quantum realm, Hank has been able to find Janet. She is alive. She is okay. Now the two of them start making it back to the real world. Unfortunately, it's right here. Ghost has already set up the lab. She's starting to drain some energy from Janet. Ant-Man and the Wasp are able to stop her. Hank and Janet, they both make it back to reality. We discover it's right here. Apparently, Janet has, I don't know, develop these healing powers of sorts to essentially help Ghost. She goes up to Ghost, her hands are glowing like some E.T. shit, puts them against her head, and it looks like she cures her? I don't know if it necessarily cured her, but it helped her. It's not that I minded that Janet now had these healing powers of sorts, I just wanted an explanation to how she was able to get them. I think the movie just wants you to think that because she was in the quantum realm for so long that she just maybe developed these, you know, abilities that the quantum realm would give her. That's what I'm taking it as anyway, but I want some kind of explanation. Just that right there feels like a bit of a convenience. And at the end of the movie, Scott Lang is able to just get back to his house just before that FBI agent douche can bust him again. So, you know, now he's free of house arrest. Now he can spend time with Cassie again. You get a couple post-credit scenes. I'm not going to talk about the very end credit scene because that scene was just kind of silly. It's just, you see an empty house and you see a giant ant playing Rock Band. Because they were using that giant ant with the ankle bracelet on it as a decoy in case the FBI ever wondered if Scott was out of the house. Again, that post-credit scene was meant for laughs, it was meant for giggles, but I don't know, didn't bring a whole lot to it, I felt. Mid-credit scene, though, I absolutely loved, so let's talk about that. Scott, Hope, Hank, and Janet, their goal is to send Scott back into the quantum realm so he can harvest some quantum energy to use it for its healing abilities. They hook him up to this thing that's connected to the present world so they can send him into the quantum realm, he can get the energy he needs, then they'll bring him right back. They send him there, Scott collects the energy, and he's like, alright guys, I'm good, bring me back. And they give him the countdown, it's like, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2... and then silence. When that happened, I was just like, oh shit, they disappeared. But yeah, now Ant-Man is stuck in the quantum realm. He's trying to call for help. He's trying to ask them what the hell's going on. In reality, Hope, Hank, and Janet, they were among half the beings in the universe that have disappeared when Thanos snapped his fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet. I'm really happy they addressed that in this movie because obviously one of the questions in Infinity War was where the hell was Scott Lang and Hawkeye? I know, apparently Hawkeye was placed under house arrest as well. We just see it with Ant-Man because Ant-Man's, you know, worthy enough to have his own movie. I do like seeing that Ant-Man is now among those who didn't disappear because he was in the quantum realm, but now it has me wondering, is he stuck there? Is he going to get himself back? I can't but wonder if maybe in case of an emergency, he had one of those blue growing discs maybe in his belt that he can use to come back. I know, he sounded pretty panicky when they weren't answering him, so I don't think he does. Maybe he does. I don't know. We'll find out in Avengers 4. All in all, I thought Ant-Man and the Wasp was a good movie. I love seeing Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. I thought Evangeline Lilly was really good as the Wasp. Again, I appreciate the smaller scale. I think the action is fun. The humor in this movie really does a good job. I'll go so far to say this is one of the funnier movies in the MCU. And for me, that's definitely not a bad thing. Again, really love Michael Pena in this movie. That dude's just awesome. He's so funny. I do like seeing them explore more on the quantum realm. I like that the story is the attempt to bring Janet back now they discover that she might be alive. I will say the flaws I have with this movie are I'm not a huge fan of Ghost as a villain. I think she does a fine job, but she's not going to be the most memorable villain ever. I'm also really not a fan of the plot holes that her story kind of brings into the MCU. Like I said, Walton Goggins' character, very useless character in these movies. He could have been taken out, wouldn't have made a difference. The movie has a couple conveniences that I really can't ignore. The movie has a couple of issues they just have to throw at the characters for the sake of there being issues. But in the end, although I don't feel Ant-Man and the Wasp is as good as Ant-Man, I do think it was a solid sequel. I am very excited to see what Ant-Man does in Avengers 4. I really hope he's in that one. That's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe. I will see you all next time.